Welcome. It's all spooky ooky.
Spooky.
Happy Halloween, all you beautiful people. Oh, I feel rusty at this. I haven't done it in a while. How you guys doing?
We're wonderful, man. How are you?
I am doing fantastic on this spooky Saturday morning.
Sorry for the pause. We didn't know if you're talking to us or you're talking to the greater audience.
I was talking to you.
We know.
You all are sitting in, we were talking earlier, that is one spooky ass library.
Yeah, it's a little creepy. It is. What is it? Andrew Carnegie. It's a library that Andrew Carnegie built for his workers back whenever he was, around and doing steel things. So this is a very old structure. I don't know when it was built. Derek knows.
It was built after the riots and the union strikes and everything, and this was like his apology to the workers and their families, and that's why it's more than a library. There's a theater in it. There's a pool. There used to be a bowling alley.
Sorry for that shit, Joe.
Yeah, in the bowling alley, I was just being facetious earlier because y'all were like, it's basketball court. And I was like, well, shit, is there a bowling alley? And you were like, just so happens there used to be, John. And I'm like, that was a good educated guess. I wish I had that kind of foresight in high school. I probably would have passed with better grades. Stay in school, kids.
Stay in school.
So you all are investigating this place tonight.
Yep, that's the plan.
Yes, sir. So we've investigated this place once before. We had the opportunity to actually be part of a fundraising event for the library tonight. So there's several different local paranormal groups that are joining in, hosting a public investigation where people could pay a little bit of money and come out and, investigate alongside of us and kind of be exposed to the whole world of paranormal and investigating and everything that goes along with it. So we take every opportunity we can to help out the paranormal community as well as the local community. So it's kind of a good fit for us, and it's going to be an interesting night, I think, because we've had some good captures here before. This place is much different after dark. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So what is it in there that you all are looking for? Is it malevolent? Or is it just like, kind of like a broken record where a scratched record just repeats itself? What do they call that?
Residual.
Residuals.
It's more along those lines, yeah. Andrew Carnegie himself has been seen here. There's a woman in white. Typical.
It's always a woman in white. Constantly women in white.
The one that has intrigued us in the past and where we've got a lot of evidence is actually by the pool. There was a man in 1899, this one sticks out to me, who was found dead in 8 feet of water. And he died under strange circumstances. There was an investigation. Nothing was ever determined as to what had happened. Foul play was suspected, and nothing ever came of it. There's been shadows. There's been handprints. We captured a water handprint last time we were here, and the pool was closed. Like there was nobody in the pool. The pool water, there was nothing going on down there. We saw a full water handprint. I believe we have a picture of it on our site.
Yes, we do.
And I mean that's the one that really stuck out to me.
And then we had there's supposed to be spirits of old steel workers up. They call them in the stacks I believe it's on the second floor where we're at, but in a different part of this floor.
It's the opposite side. You're right. If we would have went the other way in the building.
Yeah, they have bookcases that stand up that slide back and forth, and they call them the stacks.
Kind of archives, really.
Yeah,
like older stuff that people don't typically rent out
and
anymore.
We caught a shadow figure of somebody that looked like they had a hard hat on, standing in the back of the room on one of our pictures. So I think there's a lot of stuff going on here. There's a theater downstairs, a very well-known theater in this area. So there's obviously things that go along with that. With theaters are very active locations for paranormal activity, just because of what they do and the amount of people that you have coming through those places. So it's kind of literally everything you could want in an investigation in one location.
Well, steel workers were dropping like flies back in them days. I mean, the safety...
There was no safety precautions at all.
Yeah, the safety precautions were like non-existent. I don't even think there was a union in 1899, was there?
I think there was like some
was-
semblance of a union, but
It was like the
wasn't.
foundations of it, but
Yeah.
but I know all the owners had pushed back, which is where the frickin' Carnegie, the Pittsburgh Union strikes, they called the Pinkertons in.
Pinkertons, yeah.
And there was
That's where it
actually,
got
what was
ugly.
it, 12 people died, I think, in one of
Yeah,
those
it
raids?
wasn't a ton of people, but
No,
it was
but it was
enough
still-
that it shouldn't have happened.
They weren't soldiers.
No, absolutely.
Well, that's what I was wondering about the guy that died in the pool, because I was like, I don't know if unions were actually a thing at that time or really the mafia, but that almost sounds like the mafia, paid some hush money to some.
There was a stronghold Pittsburgh Mafia back in the early 1900s, so it's possible it ties into that, but there's really never been anything that tied him to that.
I'm saying most time mafia has a lot of cops on the books. They pay them some hush money. Hey, we got to get this guy to, dead man tell no tales, as the pirates say.
That's it. Yeah, so like I said, it's
A little bit of everything.
I don't want to say it's a paranormal playground, but it really is an interesting place, and I'm looking forward to it tonight because we always like the opportunity to have people that don't do, a lot of, they're not as vested in the paranormal, ghost hunting, paranormal investigations kind of thing. People that are just intrigued by it, have always wanted to do it. Like this time
Perfect
of year,
segue.
yeah, right. This is the time of year for them to, while the veil is the thinnest and all of this other stuff that they want to say, like all the way back to paganism and all that, with the veil is the thinnest this time of the year and everything. So, people are always very intrigued when it's around Halloween time about all of the stuff that we spend all year doing. So it gives the public a chance to come out and, like I said, go along with us.
See what we do.
Yeah.
Is there any truth to the fact that this time of year, I know the pagans really were heavy into it back in like Ireland and even England, I could say. But is there any truth to the fact that the energy is strongest this time of year for paranormal, with the lunar cycles and all that other jazz that I've heard? That's why they always did the festivals in this particular time of year, where they used to wear masks to try to scare off evil spirits.
From personal experience, I haven't seen anything different. It's never been any more. You refer to the moons. I think the lunar cycles have more to do with it than anything, but that's not just this time of year. You get full moons, you get the half moons, you get the strong moons all across the calendar year. So I don't think that it's this time of year. It's the same thing with the 3 o'clock. People call that the witching hour. We typically are done by then. Things stop at that
We're
point.
very tired.
We're,
by that
yeah, and
point,
we can't
though.
give any more energy. So they have nothing to feed
very
off of.
worn out.
You all ain't get locked down like a certain paranormal investigative group where they we get locked down for the entire night.
No, we can leave anytime we want. We can go out and get Subway and come back. We can go get a pizza. We've investigated places where pizza gets delivered at 2 o'clock.
It gets delivered to the gate. We have to walk.
Well, that's
drive to
sometimes
the gate.
Yeah, a lot of the times they don't come onto the property. We have to go down to the driveway and get it. But yeah, so I don't know how much reality there is to the veil being thin and all that stuff. Who knows, right? I mean,
well, that's what I was wondering, because they said this time of year was why they picked it, because it was after the harvest and everything from the summer. And this time of year is kind of when everything starts to die. Leaves and all, just everything. And I guess there was some semblance there that they thought maybe this was due to evil spirits, because that archaic way of thinking back then was like everything was the devil. It was, oh, she's wearing eyeliner, burn her at the stake. I mean, like trials.
I'm pretty sure that the closest thing that I can think as to why people would say those kind of things about Halloween in specific is there are plenty of ancient cultures and things that paid attention to the solstices, like you were saying, across the seasons. So I think maybe the time of the solstice is
just
important.
coincides.
Yeah, and it probably is an important energy uptick, if you will. But I don't think it's
That's a good point.
specifically just Halloween. I think it's probably just all of the seasonal solstices that happen. There's some kind of special.
I like that. So this is Jack, by the way.
Hi there, guys.
Or Jim, or Jay.
Jim, Jack, Jose,
Yeah,
whatever you want to call
Jack's
him.
fine. Man, many names, but I'm not the devil. So how you doing?
Yeah,
Jack
so
has the most awesome coat ever. When he first walked in, I was like, "Holy shit, that's an assassin from Assassin's Creed."
Thanks.
yeah, no, he's gonna make us all look bad tonight. Derek and I just have our Iron City shirts on. I'm gonna give him an Iron City shirt.
I was like, you know what? This is the first investigation I've done in years. It's literally Halloween. There's no better time to wear the coat I want to wear all year round and not get looked at like a crazy.
Now I can be normal.
School,
yeah, I can be.
I've been there.
Yeah, right.
I was the weirdest kid in my neighborhood.
Myself for one day a year.
And that's
Like
why-
there comes that Evans kid. Don't let your children around him look at him with that T-shirt on. That guy's face is melting off on his T-shirt.
Yeah,
Bet he worships the devil.
for sure.
Yeah, I used to get that.
People that don't worship the devil don't wear those kinds of shirts, though.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, they have a point. They have a point.
Well, it was the band Testament. You ever heard of them?
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
So I had a shirt that was called "Return to the Apocalyptic City," and it was their live album cover. And it's a dude on the front, and it looks like something out of Hellraiser because he's got like these flesh hooks in his face, and it's like pulling all the skin off of his face. Somehow I thought that was a smart move to wear that at school. Principal didn't think so.
I mean, you'd have had my support.
I got in trouble. Yeah. Almost got expelled for that damn T-shirt.
Although we weren't friends
Back
with people
then?
like that in
No,
high
I
school.
don't think so.
We were not. That's an issue.
Yeah.
We were part of the problem.
Teenage John was into some weird shit, and I guess middle-aged John still is.
Nothing has changed.
There's one thing that you were telling me before we went and started recording that really caught my interest was you all caught a demon or got the Hat Man or whatever you called him. It was a run-in with a not so nice spirit.
Yeah, so that was
I think that's been ongoing, honestly.
Yeah, so since the last time we were on with you, we investigated a tattoo shop that's nearby where we live. It's north of Pittsburgh. After Hours Tattoo Shop in Mars, Pennsylvania, and they have the area of Mars has some very covered up dark history to it as far as possible slavery and different things along those lines, to the point where they don't, the Historical Society doesn't want us to get into, doesn't want us to dig too deep on that stuff. But we were interacting with a young girl there, and we actually had a medium that was on remotely with us through a computer connection. He was in Idaho actually, and he was able to do a little bit of mediumship for us while we were at the tattoo shop that night, and he was interacting and we were getting things on our devices that were coming back as a young girl. She was answering questions, but she was not talking to us, and she wouldn't answer. We were trying to get her to answer questions and she wouldn't. And he was picking up that she was very hesitant, that something was holding her back from really talking to us and telling us her story. And he was sensing the presence of something demonic or something evil. Not necessarily purely demonic, but just something negative. And as he started picking that up, if you need to get that, you can grab it. Sorry, the guy that we're going to do the investigation with tonight is giving us a call. So Derek's going to step out real quick.
Okay.
But he was picking up on this dark energy, and as he was doing that, the girl backed off, and this darkness took over, and we captured on our SLS camera something very tall standing. We were sitting in a tattoo room like by the chair, and had our devices on the chair itself, and this large entity showed up behind the chair, standing there leaning on it. And I was sitting to the left, and I could not see the SLS. Derek was holding it. I was just in the room by myself, and I got an ice cold chill on my right shoulder, like on my back into my right shoulder. And I looked over at Derek very calmly, and I said, "Derek," I said, "is that thing touching me?" And he looked like someone shot a puppy in front of him, like he was frozen, and he's like, dude, it's touching you right now. And I had to kind of assert myself a little bit and get him to back off because, I just wasn't comfortable with the situation. It was not something that I wanted to get into.
And then you got like mentally, you got just drained at that point.
Yeah, so
where
I
you had
got-
to sit down and kind of take a step back.
Yeah, I got fairly thrown off by that one, but we had continued on for the night and captured a few other things when the medium was not on the call with us anymore, and we shared our findings with him, to which in turn he shared it with a demonologist in the UK, because it was like the things that we were catching and were coming across, the visuals and the words we were getting on our devices. He was seeing this story work out, so he sent it to this demonologist, and he was saying that it lines up with things that are being reported around the world, with this Hatman demon that is actually a demon that's associated with sleep paralysis more often than he is seen in the world. But obviously, as you know, sleep paralysis, you wake up in the middle of the night, you cannot move. People report seeing things in their room. They see dark entities in their room, and obviously they can't move away from them and all those kind of things. So sleep paralysis is something that I've had before that I don't like. Haven't had it since I started the Grand Old Zoloft, ever since those anxiety attacks went away. But this Hatman demon is, like I said, typically associated whenever there's strife in the world, whenever there's hardship in the world. And this man in the UK was saying that sightings of him have been occurring more since all of the stuff has been happening in the Ukraine and Russia. So ever since that has been happening, now he's out again. So now this Hatman is now out and about.
Yeah, he said that sightings had increased, like 20-fold or
Yeah,
something at that
some
point.
astronomical
something
number.
ridiculous.
The Hat Man almost gives me the vibes of the Crooked Man from the Conjuring movies, almost.
Probably a very similar.
Rooted in the same folklore.
Yeah, but
Very
I mean,
well could
but
be.
even the same style. I don't even want to say style. He looks the same. He's tall, skinny.
Right.
He kind of overlooks everything. He's unnaturally tall.
He wears a hat.
And he wears a hat.
Big
Yeah,
old chimney pipe hats.
Yeah, so that one, we think that
Well,
we have had interactions with him outside of that shop as
since that moment, we had started looking back at some of our pictures, some of our evidence that we've captured in the past, and actually have kind of been putting these pieces together after this medium pointed us toward this demonologist, and it almost seems like something has almost always been looming over us, almost in the background. And there's a few times where we've caught this tall thing, almost skeletal face, just there. I mean, just watching. And
And the first time we ever picked him up, because we were looking at old pictures, you can look back and we're seeing the same repeating face that we're catching every once in a while in some of our still shots. In the first place we ever had record of that was at Ohio State Reformatory, in the old chapel, where the prisoners used to be able to go, obviously, to worship. There is a large ghost-like looking figure standing in the window with a skeletal face, like Derek was saying. It's like a white skeletal face, and
it's just very unsettling.
Yeah, then we started, like he said, connecting the dots, and we're looking at that picture and then comparing them to other faces that we've gotten in pictures, and they're eerily similar to each other. So we don't know if he was around for longer, and we just didn't have anybody that knew what the hell it was until we had the medium on, or what was going on. But it's definitely something that we're watching out for now to see if he is something that's still following us around.
That's what I was going to say. It sounds like he's attached himself to you all for whatever particular reason. Have you thought about maybe getting, I don't know, a Catholic priest to maybe kind of do something to bless him to run him away? Because I know it sounds silly to non-believers, but shit's real. I don't care what anybody tells me. It's real.
Increased our
And I don't want to see anything happen to you guys and your family.
Right. Well, that's the biggest fear, is us taking something home.
For sure.
To our wives, our kids,
I actually called my grandmother. I stopped and visited her this morning after work, And I was like, oh, hey, there's a pastor at church around. I talked to them real quick. I'm going to go do some spook hunting tonight. I'd like to just get a little tap on the back.
Yeah, seriously. Pass off from some priest juju.
I was surprised. It was nice.
That's good.
Called her up. She was away on vacation,
nice.
but she still made the time to call me
Nice.
and kind of, do the prayer and stuff. So that was nice.
And that's super nice. And that's what we have to obviously be cognizant of when we're doing investigations. We have to be aware of the potential to put ourselves into harm's way, so to speak, spiritual harm's way. I don't expect, we've had things thrown at us. We've had things happen with that before, physically trying to, interact with us.
But we also know when to call things quits.
Correct.
We will kind of shut things down, assert ourselves, like Dan was saying, kind of push things off, and just, if we have to pack up and leave, then so be it. That's what we do.
But something we struggled with early on, I always say that Derek started very spiritually stupid in the fact that he could never feel anything. He would never have any experiences. He was very
Technologically based.
Yeah, he was very tied
Everything that I had to see or feel,
right.
It was all based on recordings or video or pictures or something.
Yeah, Derek's the guy that goes in on The Conjuring or in Poltergeist, and sets up the equipment. He's guy in the white shirt. He was very driven by.
I like to think that I'm more of the guy from Insidious.
You are.
I'm one of the.
You are actually from Insidious. No, but he was, and I get it. There's a certain aspect of what we do and the brand that we have created and we try to maintain is a lot of it is, what have you done for me lately? Show me the ghost that you caught recently. Let me hear the ghost you caught recently. If we don't catch a ghost, if we don't hear a ghost, if we don't see anything, the shit we do is boring. It's just us sitting in a room.
It's just dead footage, dead air.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
we're looking through it.
I understand when we're trying to get followers on social media, and we're trying to get our word out there, because we feel that the more people that we get this stuff to, it's not that we're looking for fame or fortune. Obviously, what we're looking for is other people to look at these things and provide input on what they're seeing and what they're hearing.
Basically,
because
unbiased insight.
Right.
Really.
It furthers.
Evidence among the community.
Exactly. I mean, it furthers our mission.
Right.
But you got to kind of blame television and media in general for that, because they've taken and romanticized and everything this, as every time you all go into a place, Mr. Boogedy's coming out of the closet, and it's not the case.
No.
And I've seen some paranormal shows where those guys have been like, yeah, sometimes we just don't catch anything. But the fact of the matter is most of the times when you're watching those paranormal shows, it's either they've staged it, which is most of the time, or you're getting footage from the investigations that they did where they actually had things happen.
Well, so a lot of the times what happens with those is they'll have entire weeks or weekends, and they boil it down to a half-hour segment. So you might be getting some of the true stuff, but it's not all in one night. It's not in 1 hour.
Just imagine scrubbing through all of
Oh my God. Well, I don't do that, so
right.
I couldn't imagine Derek scrubbing through all of that, because he's the one that does all that shit.
In my ear, coming the other ear, and just shaking me up like a martini.
Yeah, one of those guys on Ghost Hunters, the show that kind of started the whole craze. What was his name? Steve Gonslaves. He was
yeah.
And he talked about he would literally have times where he would sit in a hotel room for 12 hours straight just listening at digital recordings.
I mean, if that's a full-time job, that's one thing. It would still be boring as shit. But if that's your full-time job, it's a little bit easier to swallow than.
Because at least you're making money for your time.
Exactly. Like when we go to many other places for full-time jobs, and this is what we do for a hobby. And then, Derek's one that listens to all the stuff, and now hopefully Jack will do that with him, because I don't do that. I don't have a hard no on it. I just don't.
You've done it when we were just kind of sitting around.
And I was really freaking good at it. Thank you very much. No, I just don't. But it's much, like I said, it's a much harder pill to swallow whenever you have a family to go back to. You know, you have wives that want you to work around the house and everything on and things. It's very difficult to do those things.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure they're like, don't be bringing no demon kids back home. You know, don't be bringing none of that shit from your hobby back home.
No.
That's what I've always said though about those shows. It's hurt your guys' ability to present credible evidence, and because people are like, "Well, you probably staged that shit," because they've been caught doing it. They have been caught doing it time and again. Because when you go back and you look at it, those guys, I doubt they'll ever watch this, but if they do, you kind of did it to yourselves. You went from being plumbers at Roto-Rooter to all of a sudden media celebrities. How does that happen? Because you took money.
Yeah.
You sold out your credibility for the almighty dollar. And it worked for a while because people were like, holy shit, these guys are just getting all this stuff here, there, and the other. And
Right. Yeah.
then Jason was coming out and saying that he had trained under the Warrens or something to that effect. I don't know if it was the Warrens or somebody else that had been an understudy of the Warrens. But anyway, and even the Warrens, I mean, come on, they've been the subject of a lot of debate.
Yeah, they've been under a lot of scrutiny ever since Amityville. I mean, that's kind of what's good everything.
But it makes what you guys do a lot harder, a harder pill for people to swallow. Sometimes they're like, I don't believe that.
Everybody has the instant gratification bug now.
That's no joke.
Yeah, if I'm watching not even 10 minutes, 5 minutes of a YouTube video and there's just nothing going on, I'm watching something else. And that's exactly what you're talking about for sure. Me
and Luke, about 2 weeks ago, we just sat around. We didn't have much to talk about. I was like, let's do a video where we react to some of these YouTube ghost footage videos. And every one of them, I was like, this is so full of shit. This is the only credible one that they had was this security guard. He was sitting at his desk, and all of a sudden, this vapor.
I've seen that one.
And he picked up the phone.
Door.
He picks up the phone book or whatever and throws it at it.
Yeah.
Like, that's a genuine reaction.
Absolutely.
That's genuine. That you could clearly see this guy was scared to freaking death. The other stuff, it was so bad. It was such bad acting. It was like B-movie acting for most of us. Like, oh, it pulled my hair. You wouldn't be acting the way I would act if I had hair, which I don't. But
that's why you shaved, right?
Yeah, but I'm just bald. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I would have a more probably flailing and screaming, maybe even peeing myself type of reaction.
Well, I mean,
I'm not used to it. I've never had things like that.
And you're not expecting it. Someone like that is not expecting something like that.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like when we truly start to get on to something during an investigation, like Derek said, we are sitting for a long time with nothing going on, making no noise so that we don't contaminate our evidence. You know, it's like, yes, we have fun beforehand. We have fun during it. We have a blast doing it. But when we're actually, recording, when we try to get audio on things, we have to be very serious. We have to be very matter of fact with our movements and everything else, so that if we move and make a noise, we have to call it out and all those kind of things. So there's a lot of boring parts of what we do, but
it's all built up to that moment.
Right. When you have something happen in the moment, it's more interesting than it is scary because we're so invested in it. If we weren't there to ghost hunt, or even if we were there to do an investigation or whatever, it's still going to scare the crap out
Yeah,
of you.
absolutely.
But when
I mean,
we
there's
want it
been
to
times
happen,
where we've
like
got scared on
we
these
ask for
investigations.
it. Like we're idiots. We're like, here, use my energy. You know,
Right. Well, it's
pull
like,
Derek's hair.
you can
What
totally
else?
give permission to spook you,
Seriously.
but since you don't know when it's coming, it's still gonna spook you.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I've told you guys my personal experience. You know, I've had one, but I was never touched. I never like physically seen it. I only had noises, and basically all it was is I moved down a dirt road out in the country, and I'd set up a brand new double wide mobile home. Yeah, go figure, South and mobile homes, trailer parks. But I lived down this road, and I was the only one down it. Now you go down it, and there's houses for as far as the eye can see. But at that time, I was the only one, and I didn't realize it. But just a few 100 feet away from my property was the remnants of an old 1800s graveyard. That the bodies were still there, and there was a couple of Confederate soldiers buried there, and some of those graves had been desecrated. And I would be sitting in my house at night, and I've told Derek and Dan this story, and I would get knocks on my door, and then when I answer it, the knocks would come on the back door, and then it would just go back and forth. It was fucking with me, literally. And it spooked me, but it didn't terrify me because I just felt like, okay. At first, I thought it was my friends, and then I realized there was none of them that was going to be brave enough to walk through those woods at night to come up to the back of my place. And I went outside, I ran around the house, didn't see nobody. And as I was coming around to the front of the house, I heard the knock on the back door, and I ran around. And as I got to the back, nothing. And there's no way anybody could have got away that quick. I don't care if you're Usain Bolt, you would have not got away that fast. And that's when I was like, Scooby Gang, there's some weird shit going on around here, and I don't know what it is. So I had a couple of friends back home who were Wiccans, you know, the nature witches, worship trees and shit. But they told me, they were like, it sounds like you got because that was after I knew the graveyard was there. They said it sounds like their spirits are at unrest down there because those graves have been desecrated, and somehow they're picking on you because they don't know who you are, and they're trying to figure
in their area,
or they're just trying to scare you off so you don't bring any harm to them anymore. As crazy as this shit sounds, John here goes down to this graveyard, and I proceed to sit there for almost an hour and talk to these graves like some crazy person. But guess what happened? Nothing messed with me anymore. Because I assured them that I was not there to harm them. If anything, I would do all I could to protect them and keep anybody from bringing any more harm to them. After that, there was no more beats and bangs and boops and shit in the night. Nothing. Not a thing.
Yeah, I think that's why we seem to have, I don't want to say good luck, call it good luck, but I think I like our style, so to speak, during an investigation.
We're very real.
We're very real, but we're very respectful in the same token. You know, and I think that's why we get the responses that we do a lot of the time, because, you know, if you go down to your neighbor's house and, you know, just barge in the front door, never met them, and, you know, ask them some random question, they're not going to be likely to talk to you. They don't want to, you know, entertain your ass, you know. So like when we start any kind of, if we go into a new room, you know, the first thing we do is introduce ourselves, because like they need to know who they're talking to. They want to know who these people are, why we came into their space and everything, you know. And I hope that goes a long way as far as not taking things back with us as well. You know, we don't create vindictive spirits where there wasn't one before. You know what I mean? Just by being, you know, jerks to them, I think that you can, you know, piss them off, and then you're welcoming something in. So I think that has something a lot to do with it, like you said, where you made it very clear. I'm not here to harm you. I'm not here to take your land. I'm just here. You know, you're going to live alongside me. Everything's going to be good. But people don't like to do that.
And people don't. I don't know how many people know this, but back in the 1800s, a lot of times your tombstones were really cryptic, and they would almost put like an autopsy report on your gravestone. There was one in particular that has always stuck with me, and it was a mom, and I can't, even if I could remember their names out of respect for them, I wouldn't put it out there. But it said on the gravestones, this mother and her 3 children died in a house fire. It was clearly written on their tombstone. Then the grave that had been desecrated, because what happened, teenagers used to go down there and hide their liquor in it. From what I understood during like Prohibition era and stuff like that, they would hide their liquor inside this grave. And he was 2nd North Carolina Infantry. I think he was a private or something, but it was 2nd North Carolina Infantry Company F. I've always remembered that. Confederate Army, Civil War. So he probably was killed in battle, blowed the hell up or something. So, and then you got jerk off kids going down there hiding their liquor in his grave. I'm pretty sure that's not so nice. So I did start to sympathize, like, damn, these people have been through some shit. They don't need people coming down here giving them more shit, and that's why I went down there and kind of pleaded with them, like, hey, I am not here to hurt you. And after that, I made it a point to kind of go out there and straighten up their graves and pull weeds and different things like that, because I felt like it was my job to do so. Like I was their caretaker, even though I wasn't assigned that duty, but they kind of just became like my neighbors. The way I looked.
Yeah, as weird as that is to say.
You gave them the respect right off the bat too.
And please, nobody call the hospital, the nervous hospital, and come down here and get me in a straitjacket. I promise you, I'm as sane as possibly can be. I know it sounds crazy to think that at the time a 23-year-old man is going down to a graveyard and just randomly talking to graves. It sounds like something you'd see on the street with some crazy homeless person. But I felt I had to do that to be able to get those things to stop, because I've always believed in the paranormal, always have. My grandmother, the night her brother died, swore up and down she was visited by this tall, dark figure, all dressed in black, and she swore it was the angel of death. Not even an hour after she seen this, we got the phone call that my Uncle Tommy had died. Coincidence?
Wow.
Maybe. Could have been her, in a pitch black room and her eyes playing tricks on her as it was trying to focus, some kind of light, because your eyes in a pitch black environment are constantly looking for light sources. Could that possibly? But my grandmother was far from crazy.
Yeah. No, and I agree with you. And I'm to the point where I'm not even one that believes too much in coincidence. I think that there's much more to the world than what we understand, and not even this world, but I mean, there's, I feel many paranormal theories about multi-universe and multi-dimension and all this other stuff. So that's why I don't subscribe to believing in coincidence. I think that everything is intentional, and who knows, like the guy that runs a tattoo shop that we did, that's what, when I was getting some work done with him, that's what he asked me. He's like, isn't it going to be the biggest, disappointment of your life when you die and you find out there is no such thing as ghosts, and this is all just you talking to nobody. And I'm like, dude, I'm not going to have to worry about that at that point. I don't care. But I tend to think that looking past, especially these days with technology the way it is, where there's cameras on literally everything all the time, we're getting so much data to support something is going on that we do not understand.
And there's so much that we don't understand about our own bodies, our minds, and how things work.
That's right.
I watched a Joe Rogan episode where he had Elon Musk on, and I know Elon's probably not the most popular person right now, but I respect him because pretty smart dude. But he was talking about how he's working on a technology to be able to extract a person's consciousness and being able to put it into a computer system and or a robotic body or something to that effect. So it almost sounds like he's trying to do what Egon and Ray in Ghostbusters was doing, where they were catching ghosts, because essentially your consciousness is what becomes the ghost, right? It's not all the time, but fairly majority of the time, because that's what we believe our spirit to be. Well, it is. It's our consciousness. You know, I'm like, I don't know how to feel about that. I mean, would I want to have my, you know, who John is here sucked out and put into a C-3PO body? I don't know if I'd be so down with that, you know?
I mean, can you pick and choose?
I'd pick somebody else. C-3PO. I don't know. He's not the worst. I don't think so. I don't know. That's a whole. That's another day there.
Just put me into a computer like Lawnmower Man. I'm good.
Seriously.
Well, I got some questions here that was provided to me. Thank you, sir. Now, with these, can I say their first name, or does all these people want to stay anonymous?
I think the most of them that wanted to stay anonymous had wrote
Okay.
that. So
yeah, besides the one we mentioned that
yeah.
randomly said they don't want to be found out.
Well, I won't give any names, and for that, I apologize to anybody that watches this, but out of respect for these people, I have to honor their wishes. So this question is how do you pick where to investigate?
Sorry, somebody just came in the room. So we have many different things that drive us to where we investigate, right? So the first thing that drives us is their known locations for paranormal activity. Those are the ones that we have to reach out to them. We pay a set price for going in and investigating. So I don't want to say those aren't always gimmies. Those aren't pay to play so much. I mean, we've gone into places that, you know, we paid a lot of money for and had nothing happen to us that night, you know? So it's not like they're not a guarantee either, but so you have those that are the locations like that where you're paying, they're known for that. It's like an amusement, entertainment type spot. The next thing would be people reach out to us that are having something happen at a location. You know, that's like a business or something like that they're concerned about, or they just want to understand. So you'll have businesses as well as personal residences that have just had so many things happen to them. And it's not our job. We cannot go in and bust ghosts, so to speak. You know, like we have successfully saged and cleansed and cleaned a house of a spirit or spirits, I should say, one time. And I think it was more luck than anything else. You know, we just followed some things that we had been told from metaphysical shops and different things that we had, you know, asked questions. A lot of what we do is we go in and we confirm, and, you know, we confirm things are going on. We won't tell them they're not, that we won't deny it. We will never say there's nothing here, because people have experiences that drive them to that. You know, but if we can validate that with something, sometimes that's all people are looking for. You know, we'll give it a shot and try to clean it if you want us to, but I can't guarantee that we can.
Ghost vacuum.
Honest to God, I wish one of those existed.
They're already picking up on a lot of things out there. Sorry.
Yeah,
I just squeeze in.
Walking up the big steps and seeing, you know, the expanse before you. Yeah. Beautiful shot. I need to go out there and shoot it before the sun gets too low. But I walked up and I was like, all right, let's Luigi this mansion.
Honest to God. Honest to God.
Literally the first thing that came to mind.
Dude, you all build a proton pack. You all build a proton pack. Remember your boy over here, Christmas?
Hey, if we strike it big selling proton packs, I promise you I will send you money. And I am on recording right now saying that. But only if we get rich selling proton packs.
So this is kind of a question, I guess, and go around the room with this one. What is the scariest situation any of you have been in?
Scariest for myself was actually when I was taken back by just a ridiculous amount of like just sickness, overwhelming energy when we were at the Gettysburg Orphanage. And the caretaker there, I had mentioned her name when we were in the hole where she would put the children she watched after to just be left to suffer.
I've been there.
Have you?
Mm-hmm. We were in the basement.
Sad place. It's a very sad place.
It is very sad. I tried to go into the hole, but I'm young and scared.
Well, we were just spending time back there, just talking, and I had mentioned her name, and all of a sudden Dan looks over at me because I stopped talking, and I just had this it was this intense pressure on my chest, and I just started getting sick.
He started dry heaving.
Yeah.
I thought because I couldn't see him. It was pitch black. We didn't have any lights on. I just had my thermal, our infrared camera that I was using, and I turned it over to him, and you see him doubled over. It's not a big space. It's only 3.5, 4 foot tall ceilings in this little hole where they used to keep children as punishment. And he's just got his head in the dirt essentially. And he's just, it sounded like he was puking. And I was like, dude, are you okay? I put the camera down. I turned my flashlight on. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? And he's like, I don't know, dude. He's like, I
couldn't stop until we got out.
I'm not okay. I'm not okay. And I just told him, I'm like, you get the hell out of here. We need to close this off. Something is affecting you very violently.
And that's a prime example of when we actually completely ended an investigation because of something that was so intense and uncontrollable. That was probably my moment that really got to me.
Yeah.
How about a guy in the middle?
I genuinely can't. Life-threatening stuff. I don't know. I almost fell off a cliff face, something like that. But as far as scary things, I don't know. I have the sleep paralysis thing.
Oh, that's the worst.
Every once in a while. It hasn't happened in a long time, thankfully. But the one of the times that I had a variation of it was I don't remember much, and I'm not going to spend forever on it. But I somehow ended up in some old, long abandoned warehouse kind of deal, and there is just mountains of trash everywhere. And at some point, I end up on some table, slab table, and then I can't remember what the guy looked like, but some crazy doctor guy just ambushed me, I guess, and shot me up. It was some saw stuff, honestly. Shot me up with some kind of medicine, so it paralyzed me, and I'm laying there on the table, paralyzed, and there's these huge, those giant wood saws, just right above this table somehow. Who knows? So I guess I was in an old wood lumber yard, whatever. And it is the most horrible thing ever. He leans into me as I'm laying there paralyzed, and I see him start up, and he says, I made sure it would numb you, but only a little bit so you can realize what's happening.
Oh, jeez.
And then he proceeds to, they come down, they chop my legs off, but I can't feel it, but I'm fully aware that I no longer have knees.
That's hardcore sleep paralysis.
I'm telling you, there's another one that's not good for podcast.
That's aggressive.
That's one of the most aggressive ones I've had.
Well, sir, you win.
Yeah. There's no coming back from that one.
It's sad because a lot of my dreams, if they're not that, they're cataclysm, I don't know why, apocalypse dreams. 2 weeks ago, I was in a house with family or whatever, and there was something going on. I knew some kind of storm or something. So then I go outside, and I'm like, oh, it's supposed to be really bad. And I look through the trees in the distance, and I see, I don't know, 4 level 3 tornadoes. And they all just merge into a beyond whatever the highest category is. And I was just like, I don't care if you have a bomb shelter. That thing's going to suck the core of the planet out. We're done. And there's always some crazy shit like that.
Merges together and starts talking to you. I'm coming to suck you up.
Yeah.
I'm coming to suck you. Huh? What'd you say, sir?
Walking out.
Pause.
Just planes dropping bombs, and I'm like, oh, it's that day. And these are my drinks. This is just
that day. It's bomb day.
You need to be writing horror movie scripts, good sir.
Honest
I
to
need to. I
God.
do need to get
Honest
back
to
into writing.
God.
I plan to, honestly.
I've always found this question, or similar questions like this, interesting because I'm a nerd for this kind of stuff. But what kind of equipment do you guys use?
Everything that you can spend money on.
Yeah.
I mean, simple. There's simple things like the recorders that we take everywhere with us. We have a lot of the time we've been trying to use our flashlights as on-off devices, REM pods, anything that's energy based, energy activated. We can see it in the dark. You can't mistake it for anything else. We got I don't even know what you call it. The spirit light that you got. I keep calling it a spirit light. But
yeah, it's like a glorified. It's a visual REM pod.
But it won't react to human touch, which is nice. It has to similar to.
It's
but
cool. I'll show you. It looks like
it's a lantern.
It looks like a lantern.
Mhm.
It has multiple stages of lights in it, and as whatever influences it, the more it influences it, the higher the lights go on it. So it's like,
so you can tell how close something is, but you can. So we've actually been holding it. We've been able to carry this thing around like a lantern, and as we're moving around, you can see this thing spike every once in a while.
That sounds really cool.
So it reacts to electromagnetic energy.
Correct.
I mean,
it's the change in the field, but yes.
Yeah, and I don't know what it reacts to be honest with you, John, because a REM pod is by EMF. So it stabilizes on a baseline EMF, and then if it senses a change in that field,
that's when it reacts.
It reacts. So if you go over by it as a person and you stand near a REM pod, it will go off because your electromagnetic field that we naturally put off.
You were changing that.
Yeah, we put off what that sensor is seeing. For some reason, the spirit light doesn't do that. You can go over and you can stand there and you could, hug it.
Like I said, we've held it before,
change.
and it doesn't do anything.
It does not change.
So it's almost more like a different variation of a K2 meter.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It's gotta be, right? It's
Yeah,
got to be
not just
looking
a
at
motion.
something a little bit more than an EMF. So I don't know. Like, it's a cool little device. So we have, again, like Derek said, like we have anything from the easy, simple stuff that we started with, like voice recorders, cell phone apps. Even we've used cell phone apps and vetted them to make sure that they weren't, because there's some out there that are fake and some that, who knows, like they tend to show us good things. So we started there, and then as we progressed, we got SLS cameras. We've gotten the spirit, or the spirit box, like the scanning radio waves.
Phasma box, which is very
boxes.
similar, easier to hear and understand. It gets rid of the frequency in the background.
That's nice.
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of things that we have in our disposal, and the most recent thing we've gotten, we've taken a step way backwards, and we've gotten trail cams. Instead of setting up, we used to run hundreds and hundreds of feet of wire for 5 cameras and security cameras.
And then however long you're there, you're reviewing the whole freaking thing, no matter what it is.
Yeah. So then we would record, 10 hours times 5 cameras, and nothing would happen in them. So we just got some random trail cams that turn on when they see things. And if they don't see things, they don't turn on. So now we're down to only clips, and they trigger at 0.1 second of movement. So it's a very slight, movement change. We'll set them off and it'll turn them on. And we've gotten some really cool things on. They're so much easier to set up. So it's
easier to set up, easier to review.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure, because you're not just reviewing dead footage the whole time.
Right.
Things are registered. That's your footage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't think people really realize that a lot of the stuff you all use, you can get at your local hardware store. I mean, I have a digital recorder. Now digital recorders you either can get from Amazon or Best Buy, but
Amazon can be your best friend with this kind of stuff, because if you go anywhere and they toss a sticker on it that says this is for ghost hunting, you're tripling it in price easy.
I recently did exactly that. Like when I was probably around the time I reached out to you guys, and because I was looking at gear and trying to price it for myself, and I did a price comparison between what's probably the most immediate link you're going to find if you search ghost hunting equipment.
Ghost stop.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the price comparison, Amazon.
like a K2 meter, people think, oh, it's super fancy. That's actually used by electricians to find like open circuits and high electromagnetic fields.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just an everyday tool that's used by
Yeah,
construction.
there are tools that are just applied in different fields that we kind of take control of. I mean,
Sure.
laser grids. It's a laser pointer.
Yeah.
You know, like that with a different filter on it. That's all a laser pointer is. And
SLS camera, that's a Connect.
that's an
It's a
Xbox.
Connect.
Right.
Absolutely. So that's always something to be cognizant of when you're looking for ghost hunting equipment. If people are looking to get into it, don't search ghost hunting equipment.
Yeah.
You know, like with a K2 meter, even if you search K2 meter, it comes up with the ghost hunting version that are $70. But if you look up, I think it's just like an electromagnetic or
It's
EMF
a reader or something.
reader
right? Yeah.
or something like that on Amazon.
$20, 17.
Yeah,
I
you
think,
can
right?
get them for 20. I think it's $20 or something like that.
Yeah.
But the second you call it a K2 meter, it goes up.
Right.
You know.
I know mine, I only paid like $10 for it.
Right.
It's about yay big. I mean, the on off button sucks,
Yeah.
but you know, it works. It does what any other one would do. It just doesn't have ghost hunting written on it.
Right.
That's it. People would save a lot of money if they just, I don't know, look up a YouTube channel that does do something like that. Because like, there's one I watch where they put their all the gear they use in the
Right there,
description,
yeah.
you know. So no BS, you know, no buzzwords that cost you $30 more for no reason.
But to, you know, also too, if you go out, any of you guys that watch this and any of you all want to be ghost hunters, paranormal investigators, I would say reach out to people that's already done it, like Iron City here. You know, I'm pretty sure they would be happy to be like, hey, this, and this works for us, whatever.
For sure.
But at the same time, when you get a K2 meter, like I've done, not everything that picks up on that's a ghost. You get next to a power outlet, it's going to pick it up probably. Everything's like that.
Where were we? We were we were doing a public investigation.
That was the People's Bank Theater
We were-
in Marietta.
We were helping out over in Marietta. These two older women take this K2 meter. Just simple. They're walking around. All of a sudden, it starts going off, and they're like, "Oh my god!" We get closer to this area, and it goes off. You look over; they're right at a circuit breaker.
Yep.
Your tool is doing exactly what it was meant to do.
Right. Find electric leaks.
Right. And
So
so
and
you have
that's
to be aware of
very
your surroundings.
that's a
I
very
mean,
important thing to do because like those shows, you don't know what's happening off camera with any of those things. And much like when you're doing an investigation yourself, it's very, very easy to have devices go off. You can get them to do things just by shaking a K2 meter. It like very slightly, it will start jumping. You know,
Yeah, because the battery dislodges for a split second, and
That's
when
all
you
it takes.
do batteries in, it automatically goes off.
So it's very important. We like the first thing that we do is try to debunk everything that we get.
we look at our surroundings. We look if there was movement, if anybody was near it. I mean, the simple things, and then you
Well,
start focusing on the outlets and the actual floor itself. And I mean, you just kind of take it step at a time until you run out of reasonable explanations.
Which is why it helps that we are skeptical believers. We think we believe in ghosts, but we're skeptical of it.
Right.
So we have to verify everything that we get, and then that's a difference between ghost hunting and investigating, right? I mean, you can ghost hunt and you can just get that rise for YouTube, you know, and then run away and say, "Oh, look, I got this ghost because my device just went off." Well, the investigation side of you takes over, and then we have to look at it and actually analyze what the heck is going on. You know, are there outside influences that are affecting you? You know, and then we drill down to actually this is something that we cannot explain, which is the definition of paranormal, right? It's the unexplained.
And I think that's where a lot of misconceptions. People think you all just show up at a place and just instantly just go. No, it doesn't work that way.
There goes.
Yeah, before me.
I've been a guest on a paranormal investigation out in St. Augustine.
Oh, nice.
And I know right before it was a lot of hours. It was a lot of time spent, and majority of that was actually doing a EMF sweep of the entire property
Mhm.
to locate hotspots that could affect the EMF meter or the K2 meter. So
Mhm.
that way you're not getting these false positive readings of oh ghost,
Mhm.
and it was identifying those spots and seeing like, okay, well this outlet's probably faulty or going bad and it's putting off a electromagnetic field. A breaker box naturally puts off an EMF field. A bad ballast in a light fixture will put off an EMF field. Just those different things, and you had to pinpoint them. And the majority, and to me, at first, I was like, "This is gonna be so cool. We're gonna be ghosting." After a while, I was like, "Damn, dude, we spend more time just looking for shit to disprove than we do to prove."
But at least you were on a legit one there. I mean, that's
Well, and that's why if you listen to our recordings or watch our stuff, I mean, we don't have any fancy YouTube or anything else, but we put our evidence online. If you hear Derek or I say, "I smell a demon," that's because one of us just ripped ass and it smells. Because there are people that associate the smell of sulfur to demons, right? To spirits. So if you hear us say, "I smell a demon," that means one of us farted from the barbecue that we ate on the way there. And we don't want to pick it up on camera. And we also don't want the other person freaking out because of the sulfur smell or anything else. I mean,
There was a blooper video I watched the other day. I don't know how I came across it, but I found it. And it was this paranormal research group, and it was just an entire 12-minute of outtakes from their investigations of when somebody farted.
we should do.
We would have entire B-roll footage of that.
And the funniest one, they had some woman with them. I guess
It's so cool.
one of the funniest ones, I guess they had a medium with them, or it was just another female was in there, and one of them goes, and she goes, "Was that a chair creaking?" And you hear the guy over there going,
Yes, it was a chair creaking.
it was so slight, like he was trying to mask it.
Yeah,
Worked out.
No, we're just no holds barred with ours. We light it up when we can.
You're just sitting there with the headphones on, volume crank, because you thought you heard something. I'm gonna step out so we can eat before we get into everything.
Yeah.
Y'all light a fart and be like, "Oh, it's an orb. Nice to meet you, brother."
Yeah, very nice to meet you. Thank you for having us.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I didn't look at the clock. You all got to get going here in a second.
Yeah, like
We got a
15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Like
Here's a question. Have you ever been to the Pennhurst? I'm guessing Pennhurst School or Penitentiary or whatever it might be.
Asylum,
Right.
yeah.
Pennhurst Asylum in Spring City, Pennsylvania.
I would
And would they let you investigate if you did?
We almost did we not?
Yes.
We almost went there, and was that during COVID when they canceled?
Yes,
I don't
it
remember.
was.
I don't
Yeah, we
remember
had
how
it
that was.
scheduled, and COVID happened, and then we had to cancel it. So yes, you can get in there. Yes, you can investigate there.
They do a lot more public things than private, and I would love to go there because it's like a town. I mean, there's 20 buildings, something like that,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
most of them are connected with tunnels, and those tunnels were used to
The body
move
tunnels.
the dead bodies. Exactly.
The body tunnels. Yeah, that represents one of the things that we run into quite often. Are those very popular places that are way too much money than we can afford. And that is one thing that we have trouble with. Just being a couple guys, and hopefully Jack likes us enough that he wants to join us and do this. But even with 3 people, when you take $2,400, it costs to get into
Ridiculous.
Moundsville for the night. Or I'm sorry, no, Ohio State Reformatory is $2,400. It's $2,400 for one night investigation. For the 3 of us, that'd be $800 a person. None of
For a
us have
night.
that kind of money.
No.
So that would be, that is something that makes it a little bit more difficult.
Absolutely.
See, and that's the thing. I think of places all the time. I would love to see you guys go like Sloss Furnace in Alabama. Well, that's going to cost gas, room and board, food.
If you want to pay our way, we'll absolutely do that for you.
But then you got to think, well, how much are they going to charge just to go into Sloss.
Right.
Some of the places don't actually charge all that much.
Yeah, some
It's
of
the
them don't.
places that get big notoriety and are larger scale. I mean, like Dan said with Ohio State. I mean, we did Moundsville, and how much was that? 1,800. We had the
No,
people
it was
that
like 1,200.
1,200. We had to open it up to, what was our total? 32 people, I think.
I think it's what it ended up being.
Something like that. I mean, we had to open it up to other groups just to make it,
Affordable.
affordable for us. Yeah.
If you all ever want to go to North Carolina, to my hometown, and maybe investigate Blackbeard the Pirate's house, I know of
Yes.
quite a few people around. I know a lot of people around there. I could probably get the hookup for you guys to go down there.
Well, then we're just going to talk to you after this because we want to be there.
Awesome.
I have family down there. My wife has family down there. We would have places to stay. We will be there.
I don't know how, I know they've let people do paranormal investigations in there in the past, and I don't think that the county is against it because essentially the state owns the house. It's a historical,
There's sometimes where we've run into that before, and a lot of the places will only ask for a donation for upkeep, which we are more than happy to. I mean, that's half the reason that we go into some of these places is for the historical value of them. And for some of the places that end up getting torn down, it's like you put an extra $50 into it, and everybody that goes in there does, and you just saved a place. You saved the building. You saved the history.
Yeah, and I've never understood why more paranormal investigators don't go down to Beaufort, North Carolina, and actually go into Hammock House. Any of y'all that watch this video after the fact, when we're done, research Hammock House in Beaufort, North Carolina. Blackbeard did a lot of not so nice things. He was married to a 15-year-old girl, and this was before statutory rape laws. He because she wouldn't have relations with him when he got back from pillaging, he hung her in a tree out back of that house.
I mean, that's a little extreme, I think. That's just my opinion. I think that's a little extreme.
And I apologize to YouTube because I forgot you're not supposed to say the R word. So I accidentally said the R word. My bad. But I don't get monetized anyway, so who gives a shit? But yeah, he hung her. He killed numerous people on that property. The property initially was a room and board, like a hotel type place, and then I guess he just took it over because you're not going to say no to the most notorious pirate there ever lived. I mean, he was a big hulking man that had no qualms about killing somebody.
And a bad case of syphilis, didn't he? Isn't that what ended up
I think
killing
that's
him?
I think so.
Probably. Pirates weren't known for being the cleanest people in the world.
No.
But nobody was going to mess with him. I mean, people were scared to death of him because when he would go on the ships, he would literally put cannon, what do they call it?
Cannon
fuses into his hair and beard and light them on fire. He would light his face on fire to go and scare you.
Talk about
Let that sink in.
That's commitment.
He lit his face on fire to scare you. Yeah. So not somebody you want to mess with. And even when he was killed, I think they said he got shot like over 12 times and was stabbed over 20.
Jeez.
And was still fighting.
He's like Rasputin. Pirate.
But Ocracoke Island is where he got killed, and that was where he hid all of his ships. And he was killed by Robert Maynard, who was a commander in the British Navy, and they cut his head off and took the head back to England. And they tied his head to, I forget what they call that at the bow, the little stick that sticks out from the bow.
The bow stick.
Yep.
Yeah. I think
that's what we'll call it for this.
The bow stick.
They hung his head from that and sailed back to England. You imagine that long trip and the seagulls are just pecking at this head.
No.
And there's a ghost story on Ocracoke Island where there's a light under the water where he died, and they think that it's him underwater with a lantern searching for his head. He'll circle around your ship or boat or whatever, and people swear up and down. Sometimes I'm like, that could be jellyfish, because sometimes jellyfish do emit a type of illumination under certain light circumstances and stuff. But, that's just trying to debunk it. But it's an old ghost story that's been told for decades.
Oh yeah, especially on the water like that. There's a lot of stories about krakens and giant octopus. I mean, but a lot of that is rooted in reality with giant squids. And the more we find out scientifically, the more that we back up those stories.
Yeah, that they're actually real.
Which is terrifying, more terrifying to me than the ghost story.
And their suckers have hooks in them. And that's when you see sperm whales that's got scars all over them, is because they've been in fights with these giant squids. Fuck my life.
Anything that can mess up a blue whale or a sperm whale, I don't want to mess with those things.
That's why I don't go swimming in the ocean anymore. Call me a wuss. There's just too much shit in there that can kill you, and I can't see it coming.
No doubt.
Especially over here, like they had videos from over here where sharks have charged people that were swimming in the ocean, and they didn't even know that they were being charged by a shark. And then at the last minute, the shark would turn away because they were like, "Oh, this is not our regular food."
Nice.
So that makes me like, fuck the ocean.
I say that too.
So I guess I'll get to the last few questions here. What is the difference between a paranormal investigator and a ghost hunter? Not much difference, I don't think, is it?
Well, I think we touched on that a little bit earlier. It was, to me, I don't know if there's a legal definition of ghost hunting and paranormal investigating, but again,
there's also nothing legal. It's paranormal, right?
I think ghost hunting is, when you go into a place and you call out the ghost and try to, have a little bit of fun with it. That to me would be ghost hunting versus an investigation, which is
spending just as much time debunking any of the claims.
Yeah, and it's not only just trying to have personal experiences, but also put some scientific evidence behind it as well. That's, to me, the difference between the two.
Yeah, I mean, it's also the way that you treat it. I mean, if you Zach Baggins it and go in and rip your shirt off because they don't like your tattoos, well, that's probably more along the lines of ghost hunting.
Tattoos?
Zach's here to piss you off. I'm just waiting to watch him get his ass whooped by a ghost at some point.
Apparently he has. Apparently he has had some interactions with things in the past, but he kind of deserves it.
He brought it on himself.
People have said he's mellowed out since he did that Demon House documentary in Gary, Indiana. They said that was like the first time they had ever actually really seen him like truly terrified. Like his eyes are messed up for the rest of his life because of that investigation. Whatever it was in there that attacked him, gave him some kind of ocular disorder of some sort where he has to wear these prism glasses all the time now to be able to see.
Yeah, that's extreme.
That goes to show you,
though, to have him stop doing what he was doing, it tells me he didn't actually believe in the first place.
Yeah, and now they're like, he's kind of mellowed out. Yeah, well, you called down the thunder, brother.
Yeah.
You did it to yourself. And that documentary weirded me out. I felt like just weird watching it. And then at that last part when he was calling out whatever it was, and you hear this growling noise, and then all of a sudden he's flailing about and talking about he can't see.
There you go. Yeah.
Yep.
So I think we do have to start wrapping here. I mean, maybe one more question, and then we.
So the last question is, what got you guys involved in this, in paranormal research?
So we always had a morbid curiosity with the paranormal, just when we were children, having some experiences, but we actually didn't start investigating. I mean, Derek did some things on the side, through
as a high school kid.
Yeah, when he was younger, he had gone to some locations, didn't take any equipment or anything, just went in more so because he was trespassing on the property. I think it was more of the draw to that. It was
It was that
was-
adrenaline rush as a kid. Like,
yeah. So he would do those things in high school, and obviously,
prime example of ghost hunting.
yeah, seriously. I knew that he was intrigued by this stuff, and him and I have shared our love of horror movies since we were children, and we've been friends for a long time. And for his bachelor party about 7 years ago, was it 6 or 7 years ago? 6, 7, something like
I
that.
believe either one of those.
More than several years ago. Derek didn't want to go to a strip club, didn't want to go to a bar, so I found a location that was near where we live, about 45 minutes north of where we were
We have
living
since
at the
gone
time.
back, what, 3 times?
Yeah, we
4
love
times?
it there.
I mean, it's
Hillview Manor in Newcastle is the name of it. But I had found out through some people that I used to work with that they did investigations up there, and found out that we could go in there and use their equipment, didn't have to bring our own. So we paid for the night, set it up as his bachelor party, had a bunch of people with us. They allowed us to take some beer with us at the time, so that was all. We're not allowed to say that, but I did. So it was, we still got that aspect of it, but Derek and I loved it. Everybody else was terrified of the things that happened to us that night, and those people have since. We had a couple people that continued with us for a little while, but they tailed off as well. So that's what actually got us started on it, was his bachelor party.
That is a good premise for a television show.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Drunken ghost hunting.
I'll tell you what, the more you drink, the more ghosts you see. I promise you that.
It's like, hey guys, my name's Derek, and Dan. Hold on, just we'll be right back. We got to make another beer run. Next morning, the people come in, you're all,
Yeah, really at an opportune time.
Oh yeah.
I'm getting married next year, right around this time.
Oh, see, we could hook you up.
This sounds awesome.
We could set you
I
up.
want
We have
to
a
put-
lot of fun with it.
I want to put all of my guy friends who would never want to do this through this.
Oh, it's so much. It is so much more
I
fun
wanna
to,
be like,
to
y'all-
use. We could use them
y'all
as
talk
bait.
Y'all talk all that good shit about how close we are.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna see.
just be like, hey guys, you like strippers? Have you ever seen ghost strippers?
Uh-huh. Neither have we. That's the funny part about it. Neither have we.
The search continues.
Yeah. Just don't throw change at them or dollars. It just goes right through them.
Yep.
Sitting there making it rain. Well, I know you guys have got to get going, and I want to say thanks to everybody that submitted questions. I had a ton of them. I guess I'll save some of them for next time because, there's a lot of questions here. So I'm going to save most of these, and next time I have these guys on, we will continue to run through these questions because Iron City has been, God, you've all been my most, probably not most, but most reoccurring guest I've had on there. I think, what's this, like number 5 at least?
Yes, four or
Something like
five.
that.
Yeah, it's been a few of them. We enjoy it. So anytime you
Yeah.
want to have us back on, you just give us a heads up. We'll be here.
Well, y'all want to plug some websites or anything before we wrap up?
It's your moment.
Yeah, so on all social media platforms, Iron City Paranormal. All one word is for Instagram, Iron City Paranormal. Iron City Paranormal. What's that?
No, I'm laughing because
He's
perfectly
tiny.
between.
Oh, okay.
I just look like a very small person.
You do. You're sitting too far away. IronCityParanormal.com is our website. As Derek said before, that's where we put all of our footage, all of our audio that we get on investigations. Derek does a nice write-up of the history of the locations prior to the investigation. Following the investigation, he posts everything on there, along with what we think we hear in recordings, what we see in pictures. But again, we always ask that people that go to our website, people that look at our stuff, as Derek's going through the evidence in real time, he'll use Instagram as our sounding board. He'll send it out and he'll say, hey,
What do you hear?
what do you hear here? What do you see here? And then we ask. People don't take us up on it very much. Some people do, but there's not enough. like we ask for your input on things because again, it furthers what we're doing. It furthers our understanding of the evidence that we're capturing or not capturing. If it's a bug, tell us it's a bug. You know, that stuff is invaluable to us. So Instagram, Iron City Paranormal, on Facebook as well. We do also have a Twitter, but I don't think that one's used as much as Instagram. Instagram is the one to go to get us in real time.
And if you all go to my website, Fiendish Fantasy Productions LLC, all one word, and I know that's a really long title. I'm sorry. Fiendish Fantasy Productions LLC.com, and go over and pull down the pull down menu, and I have an Iron City Paranormal tab there that takes you directly to not only some of the cases that they've done that I've kind of archived on the website, but it also links you directly to their website as well.
Yeah, and we appreciate you doing that for us because it helps us increase our community more so than we can by ourselves. So thank you for that.
Well, I look at you guys as part of the team, so
we appreciate that.
Thanks, Joe.
We appreciate it.
You've been on here enough now. You're honorary.
You're stuck with us now.
Oh no, now I got to do dishes.
That's it.
Well, guys, it's always been a pleasure. Happy Halloween. Happy
Halloween to you as well.
All Hallows Eve. You guys be safe. Don't be bringing no hat demons or hat shit home with you.
Can't guarantee it, but we'll try not to.
And if anybody was hearing any kind of thumping, because every now and then I picked it up, it wasn't ghost. So when you go back and watch this, it wasn't ghost. It was children playing basketball.
Yeah,
so
basketball playing on the third floor.
I'm sorry to have busted your bubble of the fact that I'm hearing ghosts, I'm hearing knocking, and they're not even reacting to it. No, we were
the ghost.
It was there.
That I would be if I got through the whole thing as a viewer, and then I get to the end.
Right?
Oh, by the way, that thing's
We've ruined Halloween. And
Right. Psych, gotcha, bitch.
But thanks for having us, John.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, take care, man.
And all you that have watched this today, thank you. And this is John. That's the Iron City Paranormal guys, and we will see you again next time.
See ya.